Everything means something in this video about gun violence. This film repeats 3 times and a few things change in each cycle. I'm Sarah, a Parkland survivor and founding member of March for Our Lives. That's an AR-15, a rifle that's been used in many mass shootings across the country. The room number references the date of the tragedy at my high school, Marjory Stoneman Douglas. It was February 14th, we were celebrating Valentine's Day. At 2:21, a classmate fired his gun in our hallways and classrooms and did not stop till he shot 150 bullets. The fire alarm symbolizes the chaos and fear during the shooting. After every massacre, there's always protests, like the March for Our Lives demonstration. Each cycle features posters designed by a different designer. These 17 backpacks stand for the 17 classmates and teachers of mine killed at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. Keep an eye out for these bags in the next cycles as there will be a small change. When politicians sent thoughts and prayers, I thought they did nothing and were empty, like these bubbles. We need new gun laws such as universal background checks for real change. People in these photos are real victims of gun violence. Some were my friends. Also, because the Jacksonville shooting happened during the filming of this video, we added a sign to honor the victims. Public debate ignites after every shooting. Just check out your social feeds following these tragedies. I was personally affected by what people said about my friends and me. It's ugly and scary. We demand change. However, pro-gun arguments make it so nothing happens. Armed teachers? Come on, so ridiculous. There's always a media frenzy, but because shootings happen so often in the US, people don't really pay attention. You can also see Sage singing. The night of the shooting at my high school, he wrote the first version of the song you hear. Both Kesha and Chica then contributed after feeling the power of the track. Every year, the gun lobby pays politicians millions of dollars to maintain the status quo. Those are $96 bills, because 96 is the number of people who die from gun violence every day. It's sickening that there's a price on people's lives. To see if your politicians support common sense gun laws, visit gunsensevoter.org. Finally, memory of the tragedy fades away. There's silence because people forget. Like millions of other kids, I can't vote yet. Please vote for our lives, or this will happen all over again.
See? Not much has changed. Well, there's now a March for Our Lives logo on the girl's shirt. I'm Maria, mother of Ricky Pike, who was shot multiple times while parking in Chicago. The room number references the shooting in Santa Fe, Texas. That happened on May 18. 8 students and 2 teachers died that day in the same way as my son, from a bullet shot from a gun held by a person who shouldn't have been allowed to get his hands on a firearm. I cried so much following my son's death. Water from the sprinklers represent the tears that are shed after these tragedies, and these tears fill the buckets which raise the protest posters. And behind the posters we see, "Welcome back." On a backpack, there's a Price on Our Lives price tag. This one shows the value politicians think Florida students' lives are worth $1.05, supposedly. The first time I heard thoughts and prayers from politicians, I was grateful. But as nothing was done and more shootings happened, those words became hollow, just like bubbles. To me, those words now sound like, "I don't care." You can see the names and ages of gun violence victims in this memorial. There's a picture of my son, Ricky. He was 24 years old when he was shot and killed. Public debate heats up. Gun violence affects all types of people. Just about everybody has something to say, and people really go at each other. Of course, there are arguments to prevent change even though we so desperately need it. Now is not the time? No. Now is the time to make the world a safer place for our children. Notice the scoreboard on the wall? That's the average number of people who died from gun violence in America. Last year, 96 deaths every day, and 26,975 every year. That's like the population of a town. We again see gun lobby paying politicians. Perhaps that's why the Automatic Gunfire Prevention Act, the Assault Weapons Ban, and the Manchin-Toomey bill did not pass. Legislation has a funny way of disappearing. Here comes that silence again. Deafening, isn't it? Seriously, vote for our lives, or this will happen yet again.
Here we are in another shooting, just like those that occurred in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, and Pittsburgh. This is Sarah again from March for Our Lives. There is that AR-15, a gun that can shoot 45 rounds per minute. This room number now references February 26th, the day in 2012 Trayvon Martin was shot dead, just like 17 of my classmates and teachers. Hopefully, we can change the world to make it a more loving place. On the wall, we briefly see a diagram of the cycle that repeats over and over. It's in every cycle of the film and foreshadows what's to come. And again, there are the protest posters. You can download them and those from earlier cycles on the March for Our Lives website. Photos on the bulletin board behind the posters are the March for Our Lives demonstrations. More than 1.2 million people protested for gun reform that day. Thoughts and prayers are sent from politicians because it's easier than action. But what good will they do? We need so much more than a 280-character social post. The memorial is arranged in chronological order by date of each victim's death. It's heartbreaking that these people died from senseless gun violence. You can read the bio of the victims on the March for Our Lives website, where their stories are told by their family members, so their memory lives on. Kids today practice active shooter drills at school. The student running from the shooter is a reminder of the fears children now face across the country. Young people deserve to be safe. They deserve to go to school without the fear of being shot. We again see the pathetic arguments against gun reform. The tackle dummies hit by the banners represent activists. Like those tackle dummies, we get back up despite the BS thrown our way. There's Sage singing on the TV screens again. He was a senior at his high school in Tennessee when the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas happened last February. You can also see my former classmate David Hogg in a video he recorded during the shooting. The money, once again, flies towards the nodding bobblehead politicians. Rather than featuring the face of a US president, those bills show a skull and crossbones for the thousands of people who die from gun violence every year. See that "Thanks for your donation" banner behind them? Politicians who accept money from the gun lobby are appalling. Seriously, lawmakers, get your resumes ready. Yet again, nothing ever happens except the situation gets more frustrating. Vote for our lives. Really, you could save lives by voting.
Every day, I don't understand.